I gotta replace that. Oh, I gotta replace that. That is a petri dish. Hey-o. Did I get like... Look at me! I think I got something on the screen. Oh, definitely did. I got like super glue or something. Hold on. Let's see if I can clean my screen up. Is that better? All right, let's see. You get it's like Inception of it's like camera Inception. Look at this. There we go. Now we got all the cameras in shot. Okay. Okay. I think I fixed it, right? Yeah. Oh, I could just move that. Duh. Da-da-da. Okay. So, we haven't touched this in a long time. There's some flecks of dust or something. Okay, so that's not dust. I got most of it off. There we go. Okay. See how thin we're going today. So what I would like to do is just kind of increase our color work here. See this dust though that got on here, or like I'm not sure what exactly got on this. That's got to be dust because there's like I haven't touched this thing. Yeah, let me see. Is it coming off? Oh yeah, it is. Okay. I'm just like, what? This must have been on here before I put it in the new glass cases behind me. Alright. So I want to increase the green that we've kind of baked in. But I don't know how intense to do it, so... A little tricky. Obviously, you can see how thin the paint is right here in the palette cam. So you can see compared to the left and right, I'm just trying to increase that a little bit. I'm using mostly water to taper it off. We're using the not so rare anymore. I mean, I guess it is still, but we're using phthalo green for all this. for all the people on Patreon, I was gonna give that stuff away. Some of the extra bottles for people that may have not been able to get it. But I'm just waiting till it's not freezing here. Like, literally, it was snowing the last few days. We've got like 5 inches of snow. And you don't want to ship paint that is frozen. It's gonna ruin the paint. So we're not doing that. We're just gonna wait a little bit till it's warmer, and then I will very rapidly post about any giveaway details. Alright, so I think that looks good. You can tell we're just going a little bit richer, right? If we compare the two sides of the face. And we're gonna go brighter too on everything else. So we've got some palatable work. How's the volume and everything? Because I haven't. Sometimes my settings change and I don't realize, like, the Windows internal settings. So let me know if if I'm super quiet or if the music's too loud, whatever the case is, just let me know. Seeing as how no one has said anything, I'm assuming it's all good. Hey, Mark. Glad to see you here, buddy. Painting Conquest Mistress? Oh no, actually I'll go ahead and say fuck that company, because they told me they were sending me all this stuff, and they got my shipping information, they confirmed it all. I posted a bunch of stuff about how I'm going to be working with Parabellum, and then guess what? Like every scumbag miniature company on the planet, they just completely disappeared, and then when I hit them back up to be like, hey, did you put this stuff in the mail? They never answered that either. And this was after talking back and forth with me a lot about sending stuff that I could paint. So yeah, that company sucks, and their miniatures suck, and I hope they go out of business. No, I don't really hope they go out of business, but yeah, they just did what everybody else does, and they just don't care about, like, keeping their word with anything. So yeah. Parabellum, as far as I'm concerned, sucks. The miniatures suck, and I will never touch one of their miniatures. Simple as that. Because, yeah, I was very interested. I was very excited. So I was posting about it, but my overwhelming experience working with companies is that they all just are like, the only reason they exist is by pure luck, based on the way they act. So I think the glazing is going well here as we build up these colors. Like I was saying too, we're going to be going back in, like, kind of reworking some stuff here to increase contrast, like, easily, so. But that's one of the reasons why I like phthalo green as a pigment so much because you can go so thin. Build up with it relatively simply, right? It isn't a super powerful pigment. Like, it's a very smooth pigment, typically. Across most brands as well. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously, Reaper didn't even really make this color because they don't want to make it. But everybody's got this color. And then even if you, like, can't find it from an actual miniature paint manufacturer, just buy it in an artist acrylic, because phthalo green is like titanium white, right? Like, it's just a fine art pigment that exists everywhere out there in the planet. So, but I do enjoy it. I feel like it's a very sort of like ethereal. Yes, it is a Roman sculpture. Of course, I'm talking about the sculptor. I have 3 pieces from him here now. This is the only one that has any paint on it, though. I have his, like, 60s sci-fi, the black chick that's like the space lady. And then I've got the, I forget what it's called, but it's like, I could show it, but it's a big diorama. But I was very happy to get this, and I was very happy to get really anything by him that isn't like intended to be painted by people, so to speak, or like miniatures, you know. I feel like we need some more blue. Actually, I think we did purple right there. That's purple. It's not blue. It looks like blue. But I think it looks blue because it's on top of a sort of like an orange-yellow ochre next to a green. So, of course, it's going to shift in that direction because our eyeballs are so easily tricked. Because, yeah, technically, right, like, magenta is not actually a color. But we know what magenta looks like. But while I was building on all the base structure, like the first time around painting on this and everything, it was all pretty neutral, right? I didn't want to push the color too far in one direction or another. And then now that we're kind of past all that, I just want to crank it up. So that's what we're doing here. Through a lot of glazing. But, I mean, I've changed so much now in such a small amount of time, right? It looks way different. So, but I think it's looking cool. The teeth still are probably my favorite thing, right? Like, I wanted that, I wanted, like, the black chrome looking teeth. Let's see, I don't have my, hold on. I can't see certain things here. I'm wondering what that number, Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. Man, I'm all depressed now thinking about those idiots from Parabellum. It's so funny, like, I literally had totally forgotten about that. And then now that I'm remembering, like, yet another company that just, like, straight up lied to me, right? Like, damn, man. It just sucks. Sucks out here making a fake living as a painter. Okay. Alright, so I think I'm cool with that. So now I want to go... I guess we'll do some blue. Do I have... I don't even think I have clear phthalo blue out here. I don't really like that color, to be honest, but... I've got plenty of it now. Oh, I've got clear orange. Yo, I forgot. I forgot I've got clear orange now. Let me grab one. Just a couple. Okay. Yeah, let's crack a new bottle, huh? I actually don't even think this is the right color to be using, but it'll be a good precursor to going either purple or magenta. Is this the brush I was using? These brushes are beat, man. Alright. Look at that. That is some nice pigment. Look a little bit closer. Alright, so where would I... Okay, so I would do it down here by the chin. Oh yeah, this is going to look really good, actually. I should probably glaze everything with this before highlighting up. Oh, okay, we'll do the chin area. And then, depending on kind of how this rolls out, I'll do more and more. Because the pigment's too weak to really affect any of the darker colors, right? But it's going to affect all the neutral skin tones, because the rest of the colors on here I think were tanned flesh. So we're gonna let that dry. Yeah, that looks good. I'm looking at it on my like smaller output here. Oh yeah, cool. Let's do that. So we'll get a little bit more out here. Now this is obviously too saturated. Some more. There we go. Nice and thin. When someone's like, thin your paints, just think of what I'm doing and don't do that. It's too thin. This is like the exact color I needed. Look how insane that looks right at the bottom of the chin. Oh, I should shift it magenta then around the eyes. Oh, see? Okay, now we're making it all come together. See, I know how to paint sometimes. Okay, so, oh, this side. Yeah. Okay, so let's get magenta. Fake color magenta. This is gonna have to be so thin. This is gonna have to be even thinner than... this is closer to the phthalo, really. At least the consistency I'll need for this color. Alright, so I prepped the palette area. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of it, like this. Boop, and there you go. Oh god, this is gonna be scary. Here we go. Let's do... Screw it, let's just do it. Are you partially colorblind, Christian? Because that could be a reason. Do you ever have issues with green? Because if it's green or reddish tones, that would be an indicator that you're either the rods or cones are suffering. But there's multiple types of color blindness, right? Like there isn't just like, you know, a one and done situation. So I'm building it in. I mean, you can see how intense it is right there, right around the bottom of the jaw. And then right up in the sort of like tear duct area. This is what I'm more interested in. I'm just going to keep slowly building it in. I don't want to go too far, right? So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to. The bottom side of the nose. Go a little bit more saturated in the pigment here. Do the side of the head. And just taper it right at that lip, corner of the cheek. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting water there, and then I'm gonna pull down and taper in the magenta, see? So it makes a perfect gradient. You don't have to do anything else. It's just automatic. Well, anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day today. I know we don't really have many people watching as usual, since anytime I don't stream for a long time, right? Like, especially on YouTube, Facebook, things like that. Like they don't push it out to like anybody. It'll just be people that have like either the top fan badge thing, and like YouTube, it's just nothing unless you have like the bell turned on. But for everybody that is here, I appreciate it. So what I'm doing is I'm layering the magenta into those shadows that we initially laid out that were phthalo green. And if you look closely, let's get real close. So if you look closely, right, you can actually see how that builds up. You can see the phthalo green, and then right next to it, you can see the magenta. And if I do one more application right here, oops, sorry. You can see how lightly I'm applying it. All these subtle differences, right, make all these different details sort of exist in their own world. I'm gonna do more underneath here. I'm just gonna keep accentuating these colors until his face literally is a psychedelic nightmare. If it isn't already, but... Next thing you know, I'm going to be trying to tell you essential oils work, and I'm charging my crystals in the moonlight. I'm going to just have water. I'm pushing it in to where I just painted, so it transitions. Boom. So you can see how we increased all that. Mark's like, I'll be right back. Gotta poop. Mark's taking a poop break. Why don't I have more? Okay, well, Okay, well. This week, well, really from last week to this week, I've been doing some Death Guard. Look at these boys. Pretty basic. Nothing too insane. We also were finishing up the Space Wolf Dreadnought. That's pretty cool. These are all from private lessons, of course. And I did finally finish this print. I'm happy about this thing. This thing's crazy. Finally. And then I ran out of resin. I was printing some ornaments. Because that's what you do this time of year. Now I'm pushing the paint at a 45-degree angle to get it to taper right up underneath the nose there. Okay, I actually really like how much color we've already packed into this thing, and I didn't have to really make too much of a like adjustment. Hold on a second. Jeez, okay. Jeez, the jeez. Yeah, it's in an ice giant. From Titan Forge Miniatures, who, sadly enough, believes that they own the rights to your painted miniatures. No matter what, if you print their miniatures, you can never do anything other than throw them in the trash or use them forever. So, while I do enjoy their sculpts, they're pretty stupid when it comes to the rules that they have, especially since they don't offer like a merchant tier or anything like that. But it's unfortunate, right? Because I do love their sculpts, so I'm probably always gonna keep getting all their new releases. But I just thought it was funny because I was looking into that earlier this week, and their terms of service are pretty stupid. And I guess they had a merchant tier at some point, and they were like, they wanted 20% of your sales, which is like so funny too. It's just so dumb. And then like you also had to pay like a one-time, I don't know, it was weird. I mean, they make $70,000 a month, so like I don't know why they act like they're, you know, out here fighting for every penny. And that $70,000 a month is assuming that, you know, there's not a greater influx of people joining than leaving monthly on their Patreon. A raid? Did I get raided? Who's here? Sorry, I don't have that notification turned on, guys. So do forgive. Somebody dropped the raid? Wait, is my thing not like working? Is my Twitch deal not working? It says there are only 5 people here. I'll just assume. I'll assume that there's more than what I'm seeing. Hold on. Let's figure this out. Everyone's saying raid, so obviously I'm wrong. Yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go. What's up, guys? What's up? We are working on a pretty face. Oh, 96 now. Yeah, everybody's leaving. Everybody's leaving. I think this is the only time I've been raided by Reaper. Funny enough. That's odd. Yeah, you're telling me. But I don't know whose show just got finished. Was it Luca? I think it's Luca, right? I think, yeah. I know. I was in his stream earlier today, actually. Poking fun. He's like the only person I watch on Twitch. Oh, and I was wrong yet again. I don't know when he goes live. I forget what he was talking about today. It was pretty funny. I blame Anne for our inability to not have phthalo green. I know she has nothing to do with it, but I blame her. Alright. So, I've just been glazing. You can see the colors right here on the palette cam. Sort of. I didn't have much magenta out to begin with. But we're just increasing all the colors here on this crazy wall-mounted plaque. He did write on the back of it with a Sharpie, but it's worn off, unfortunately. Alright, so now what I want to do is start to go back with a highlight color. So previously we had used tan skin. And I can probably do that again, but I don't want to lose kind of our saturation. Because that would be no fun. No fun at all. All right, so let's see what we can do. So what we've done here today, at least, is we've increased the colors in all the shadows just by glazing clear pigment. We haven't done anything too crazy. The teeth are clear phthalo blue and clear phthalo green. I wanted them to look like xenomorph teeth. Xenomorph teeth? That sounded like I had like the craziest speech impediment. But like alien teeth from the movie Aliens, right? Like black chrome, creepy. Okay. But since I hadn't worked on this piece in so long, I figured let's do it. Now that little dot, I wonder if I could use my fingernail to get rid of that. Either way. So this is pretty much glaze consistency. Yeah, so it's the actual piece is called Swallowed by the Great Red Salmon, which is a indigenous, you know, like story that has to do with I forget what, like nature's abundance. I forget what exactly though. But so what I'm doing now is I'm just gonna be doing edge work. And just slowly rebuilding, because I've tinted so many different areas of this thing that I need to start just going back in and rebuilding it. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to make this look like any type of material, so this obviously could be some kind of weird stone, some kind of whatever. It's not really organic. It is a face, but I wouldn't really consider it to be like a natural face, obviously. This is similar to another piece of work I have by the same artist in terms of like this kind of weird alien design. Right? Like it's like a very it's an unnatural but natural sort of cultural reference, right? Like you can't necessarily you can't really pinpoint it out in terms of like a culture necessarily. Obviously it is you know, indigenous North America, but you know, it could be like a lot of these shapes feel like you know, they could be Incan, Mayan, Aztec, but then you get into this sort of like organic like pattern work here, which is not a part of that cultural like design aesthetic at all. You get into the salmon, right? Like it's weird. It's like a mishmash of sort of cultural aesthetic. Which is cool though. This is a limited piece as well. I forget which number I have. But so however many he's made is like all that there are. I don't think it's sold out, but I like getting his limited release work. I definitely can't afford originals, and I wouldn't paint an original, but really great stuff. Alright, so we're just slowly picking it up so you can see, right, underneath the eye there compared to this side is like where we're picking things back up. But I want to leave the saturation in the shadows. So it's just a game of placing things in the right area, moving it around correctly. I'm excited tonight because we're working on our long-term Patreon project for the Atelier tier. And I'm not sure what we're going to be painting. I think we're going to be covering smoke tonight. I thought I had the guy here. I swear. Oh, yeah, he's right here. Last week we worked on the orc head. And so this week I think we're probably going to be doing the smoke, if I had to guess. I'm not sure. We were putting off the blade. This was a 50 millimeter scaled up 3D print that we're just taking our time with, doing different stuff. These projects are fun because we always do, like, it's as long as it takes, and they get an hour a week at that tier, which is a lot different than the rest of the stuff on the Patreon, right? Because we do monthly classes instead of weekly stuff, so... But everybody's been really enjoying it. Either from spending an hour on hair, or spending an hour on a decapitated orc head. You know, what more could you want? But that's tonight. We do that at between 7 and 8 p.m. on Wednesday evenings. CST. And you can always check that info out, patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. Which, as always, is my preferred method of support. I'll be finishing up, I'm actually taking a break right now because I was working on all of the Miniature Monday paint jobs outside of the 4 that I did for the paint set. But I didn't have enough time over the weekend to get all that done, and then Tuesdays, just really Monday and Tuesdays are like my most backed up days of the week. So I need to rotate this actually to do the sharp edges across the cheekbone there. Even? Okay. Now previously I had some scratches, but I don't know if that's really what I want to do, or if I do it, it's got to be very sparing. Very infrequently, I should say. But thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys are all having a pretty good day. Hopefully you can get some painting in. Or not. I know a lot of people... What's funny is I feel like a lot of the Twitch audience too sometimes don't paint. They just kind of hang out. Which is totally fine. A lot of the Twitch people I end up watching nowadays, I don't do what they do, if that makes sense. Okay, now we're moving along. I'm excited as well. I know January we're going to start working on Maldracar and a few other really big projects. Yeah, I have all kinds of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Okay, so if you look at the definition, right, between the right-hand side of the face and the left-hand side of the face, that's really all I'm doing is re-refining all these sections that we had sort of glazed over in the first half of today's painting session. So it's kind of like a metallic surface, kind of not, maybe more like stone. It is the Bones Maldracar. I would never spend as much money as that resin would cost. Only because it's not going to be an enjoyable paint job, right? Like, it's going to be a lot of work. So... But yeah, I actually got this one for $70, which is insane. So I got an amazing deal on it. New in box. It was like the deluxe one with all the extra paint. Now then, I'm not happy with this, so I'm gonna go back and kind of glaze over it. That'll work. Yeah, and it was on Amazon. It was like, I don't know if the vendor that had it, I think it was just like a hobby store that had like an Amazon vending license type of thing, because they only had one in stock. And when I saw it for that price, I was like, I should just buy this, because it's literally like 50% less than the cheapest prices I could find at the same time. And I've put off buying it forever and ever and ever. But now that I have more time to focus on just like alternate content, things like that, seemed like a good project. That's also going to be a project for Patreon. But I just have to get some other things out of the way before I can start on all the new ideas. It's really not that bright, huh? Okay. Then maybe what I'm doing here is more of like getting ready for the next layer of color. Because yeah, I'm not seeing like, I mean, depending on where I'm placing the work, there's a noticeable difference, but... And then I feel like I'm also losing... Well, what I'll do is I'll highlight things up further, and then I'll go back with that same orange that we did before we went and applied magenta, because I felt like that like really shifted things in a nice way without kind of killing like the contrast that we had built. But anytime you're working with this many colors, right, I say it all the time, you don't want to go too far too fast in terms of like, you know, your lights and your darks and your contrast. You want to make sure you're sort of like, it's like when you're doing a portrait, right? You don't want to draw the left-hand side of the face completely and then realize you're screwed, because you have to somehow have it all look right on the other side. You need to do like everything at once in stages. Now there is really good texture here on the bridge of the nose, so I'm kind of debating how much texture going where for the rest of the face. Cool. If it's somehow your first time watching, let me know in the chat as well. I always like to see new people hanging out. But since it was a Reaper raid, I know a lot of the usual suspects are here for Miniature Monday. Boom, there we go. See, this is what I want. There are two edges here on the like fold that's going from the nose to the cheek. There are two edges. One's a soft edge, one's a hard edge. You really can't see the bottom one, but I wanted to separate it, and you can sort of tell it's there now. I'll zoom in. So it's this edge right here. Let's see, I gotta figure out which way to rotate it, because this thing's so big, right? The plaque that it's mounted on. There we go. So this is the top edge, right here. And then there's a bottom one beneath it right there. So it's very, very small. Mark over here making faces. We need to petition Mark to start sculpting again when he gets free time. Even though I feel like people have petitioned me to start streaming again. They're like, why haven't I seen any streams? I'm like, well, you don't pay for Patreon, so... That's where I've been, now that I have so many people over there. But I figured. More streamy weemies. For everybody else. And then some of the stuff too I can't show off, right? So like I can't really stream all the Miniature Monday minis because we always keep those a secret. And since they're not kits anymore, right? It's a little bit different because I want it to be like, you know, a surprise every month or like right before, so that way you can go buy them immediately or whatever. Because we had discussed what would make more sense, whether it was, you know, once they're all painted, show them all off, or wait and do it month to month, and it makes more sense just do it month to month. I think at least. So if we're looking at the right-hand side versus the left, obviously we've got a lot crisper transition there to our edges. So we'll keep doing it. With our paint so thin, it's pretty much just dirty water. Okay, so let's back it out. Oh no, Josh, what have you done? What did I do right there? There we go. Nothing happened. Cool. You know, it's too bad I can't do this like same scheme for like Death Guard stuff or something. That'd be a whole lot of fun. I'm falling asleep here. If you guys haven't ever had the Amazon brand energy drinks, they're actually not bad. If you are someone that has energy drinks. Because yeah, they're like $1 each. Or they're a little bit more than that. It's like $28 for 24 cans. It's not too bad. Almost done with commissions. Mark, you don't actually sculpt, you liar. Why don't you show me what you're working on? I don't care if you signed an NDA. None of that's real. Show me what you're working on. What am I gonna do? You're gonna show me a sculpt that you're working on for somebody that you signed an NDA for, and I'm gonna like go create a company and like rip you off somehow? Sorry, rip them off somehow. Show me what you're working on. Coming from the startup world, the only time what I really learned, the only time you really need an NDA is when you're talking to somebody as smart as you, right, with the same skill set. So like, let's say let's say we're working with a algorithm guy, and we need him because we're right on the cusp of making an algorithm work, which is something that we dealt with the startup I was involved in, right? And so like we met with this really awesome growth hacker, but we knew we had to make him sign an NDA because like what we were assuming was really hard was probably really simple. And sure enough, once we paid him and brought him on board, he literally did the work so fast. Like he could have done it on himself. You know, he could have done the trick that we were doing just in his free time. But the question is, right? So like we ended up paying him. I think he was $35,000 a month, and then within like a month, in implementing his algorithm to like read Craigslist and all these other like sort of like help wanted areas, we brought in like $80,000 worth of profit. So it was worth it, right? But for him, obviously, he'd rather be paid and involved in the future of a company than like go and make little money, right? Because he was really well off. And then that whole startup opportunity disappeared when Apple and Uber announced they were developing self-driving cars. So that's what happened to that company. We went from a $2 billion valuation to like a $20 million valuation overnight. So that was a really cool email to wake up to at 5 a.m. But it was very Chicken Little, right? Like, the people in that industry are like, well, world's ending. Well, actually, the main problem is that half these companies are created with the intention of them being purchased and sold. And so, like, if you have no reason to pivot and, like, figure out a different business model, then if something, like, an announcement could literally tank your whole business. Which is stupid, right? Because it's just an announcement. But not what I was involved with. That literally was it. No more funding rounds after that one. I don't know why I'm trying to retain the texture that I have here on the nose, but I like it. I think it looks good. It actually has like a much stonier feel. Stony. But it's not as like metallic as some of the other structures. Maybe that's what I should do, is just have this be very oddly colored stone. Like weird, like if you look at kind of how jade reflects light on hard edges, similar, not just because I'm using like a green color, right, but any kind of crystal that kind of like, when the opacity is increased whenever the surface area is decreased. Ice does that too, actually. When you're painting ice, that's something that you should keep in mind. Do some scratches there. I remember I used to struggle painting scratches so much. Like, it was so funny. I remember I was so proud of myself. Like, looking at really good paint jobs, depending on the style of painter or like box artist. A lot of European painters that are doing non-metallic metal, stuff like that, like they always have these tiny little scratches all over everything, right? And that's like the mark of like a really, really good paint job at a certain degree. And then another popular mark of a good paint job is like somebody that takes every sharp edge highlight all the way to a tiny little white point. And really all that is just understanding placement and light, right? It isn't technically difficult. It's just knowing where to put things. But I remember like the first time I did that, I was so proud. I was like, I figured out how to paint tiny scratches. Really all it is your brush should be completely wet, not flooded, right? And then you just get a tiny amount of paint and it's perfect. It's like, it isn't hard. It's just, you have to like physically know the consistency of the paint, and then that's it. You just drag your brush. But that was definitely like one of those things where you're like, I did it. I've leveled up a little bit. Which, the longer you paint, Whew. Well, Robosh, this isn't actually a miniature, right? So this is a sculpture by Roman Bogart. Let me see. Yeah, Bogart. But he's a French artist. And he does make busts. Like, I have a few here. I'll show off the other ones I was talking about so you guys can kind of get an idea of his, like, array of skill here. Let me, oh, okay, well, so here's the problem. If you guys ever wonder, like, what's on the floor that's always blocking me. So right now, a box full of stuff that Colin shipped me. And then there's also, I've been running over them with my chair, and I feel really bad about it, but they've just been in the way. I have, like, every one of the promo minis, and then I've got 15 of these boxes, or I've got 12 of each of these boxes sort of stacked on the ground. Okay, so that's all out of the way I can actually move. Here we go, let me grab these so you guys can see. Okay, so now this is a bust that he is sculpting. Now this isn't put together all the way. She's missing a laser gun and some other things. So I've got this from him to paint up as well. And I did a lot of cleanup on it, so that's why I have like her body primed, but nothing else. And I just wanted to make sure that like everything I cleaned up looked good. So I've got that. Then I also have this piece right here. And this one's phenomenal. Just really awesome art style. Right, totally unique. I think this is another limited piece. So, but yeah, he does really cool work. Hey, Casual Painter with the biggest raid. What's up, dude? Thank you. Now, I'm stuck on something here. I gotta be careful. Oh my god, these shelves. I need to close them all too. I've had them open for too long. I don't want a bunch of dust getting in there. Let's close that. Close this. Close this. Close this. Alright. And we're back. Oh my god, sorry. Seasickness. My workspace, I just like shoved all these Nurgle guys to the top. Nurgle guys and then failed 3D prints. I always like to keep the failures so I can understand what I'm doing wrong with my life. Like, this guy turned out really good. Right? Like, details looking good. Looking real nice. Most of the supports are all good. And then you're like, oh god, what happened there? What happened, dude? Where'd your leg go? The culprit is right here. If we look behind the scenes. These are trash. These were no good. That was not going to hold up his leg, which is the entire problem. So, but I always keep them so I can remember or make adjustments on files, right? I've gotten pretty good though. Now usually I can guess what's going to be a problem and I fix it beforehand with pre-supported stuff, which is so funny, right? Because like that's the whole point of all these Patreons. Is that they're like, yo, it's pre-supported, your life is easy, you just hit a button and print, right? And that's like literally not how it works. Like, anybody will tell you like you should be doing it yourself and you won't have problems, but, you know. And 3D printing is a lot like painting. Where, like, you ask a question and you get, like, 10 bad answers and then 1 good answer. So that also has been, like, the hardest thing about starting 3D printing is, like, figuring out what advice is good, what advice is just dumb. Or, right, like, when I first started having fails, I'd be like, hey, what happened here? Here are my settings, you know, can you please help me out? I think it may be this or it may be that. Well, I was right, actually, initially with, like, a lot of the things that I thought was going wrong, but, like, if I shared an image of that miniature with, like, the leg falling off the supports, instead of somebody just giving me, like, a relatively simple answer, like, oh, that's very clearly a bad support on the first point of contact, right? Like, whatever. You don't get that. You get somebody going, where'd you get that mini? And you're like, cool, dude, thanks. You're not, okay. Not what I was looking for, but alright. So I'm gonna phthalo green that highlight we just placed. That was super, super thin, since that was like our glaze consistency, but I just need to kill that a little bit right there. We'll see. That'll be fun. Alright, so what I plan to do with this whenever it's done, I'm going to put it in a light box. Not a light box. I'm going to put it in a shadow box. Now, obviously, that's kind of a problem because of how deep it is here with its big old nosy. Here, let me see. I guess 3 inches isn't that big. That's what she said. That's not too bad then, I guess. I'm sure I can find a shadow box that's like that. But then I want to mount it on the wall with like a little LED thing from the top or something maybe, or like a 45-degree angle. This should look dope. Okay. Back into the world of pain here as we continue highlighting edges. Can't really stay on here too long today. Like I said, I gotta keep painting. Could have crisp edges on the eyebrows, man. I'm wondering, should I have them on this? Okay, I guess I should. No side of the brush trick here, because that isn't deep enough. Oh, I should do the bottom edge, though, too. Oh, did I? I did. Okay. Good job. Good job, Josh. You're remembering everything you should do here. That paint is not thin enough. I'm not... okay. I guess that's not too big of an issue. It's dried on the palette here a little bit. Since I have the heater going all the time, right? Now that it's snowland out here, I should probably be using the humidifier in this room. Because otherwise my wet palette turns into sad mistake land of unexpected results. Whoop. Remember, you can always see the stuff that I use, including the exact humidifier that I use in my painting space, on Amazon. You can go to minipainting.studio, and there's a link directly to all the materials that I use. And guess what, man? The richest man on the planet, Jeff Bezos, anytime you buy something after clicking that link, doesn't even have to be what's on that list, he gives me like 2 pennies. He's such a generous capitalist overlord. So if you want to help me out a little bit, check it out. I updated everything too to be like a holiday gift guide for people, so all the products on there are correctly linked. Sometimes, right, products become unavailable, things like that, but it should be up to date. And yeah, I think the humidifier is like 30 bucks, right around that. It's not crazy. Make sure you use distilled water all the time. Don't put essential oils in it. I only say that because half of them advertise like, it has an oil diffuser. Ha, ha, ha. Put some lavender in there and go to sleep while you paint, right? Okay. What did I miss? Let me see. Thank you. Thank you for the edge highlighting compliment. It's really not, I mean, we're just drawing lines. Like, this isn't hard. The skill involved here is merely brush control, but I would argue that it's not even brush control. That's the determining factor. I would argue that it's actually the consistency of the paint that allows you to go as thin as we're going here. Yep, mistake. There we go. But yeah, because, you know, the consistency of my paint is literally dirty water, and my brush is always completely wet. And those two things allow you to do super fine lines all the time. Now then, if I zoom this out. Okay, so what I'm doing, so for those of you that don't normally watch me for whatever reason, I'm kidding, obviously. I have a screen that's like literally past the camera here, and it's way bigger than, so it's a better angle. Like, my lighting will distort, so this is facing me. So like I'm looking at a 90-degree angle at this face, and my lights will distort everything. So I've like somehow trained myself to be able to just look at my screen, right? And it's also great too, because I can like zoom in, I don't have to move the miniature, right? It's just a easier workflow. But, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at all the work that I've added on the left-hand side of the face and comparing it to the right to make sure that I've like increased the edges enough. Now, what I want to do actually now is go back down here to the mouth. I think we have an opportunity here to sharpen some edges. I'm going to flip this upside down. That'll be easier to approach, so here we go. And I am doing some distressing. I don't know if you guys are picking up on it either. I'm literally moving the brush back and forth like a pencil to do my edges. This is too thick right here, by the way, but luckily at the angle that you view it from, it's not like super obvious. I can darken it if we need to. See, I wanted to outline... Yeah, okay. What's funny, too, about this sculpt, so, like, it's refreshing to work on things that are sculpted by hand because they're not symmetrical, right? So, like, there are inconsistencies in quite a few areas of this sculpt that, like, really you can only tell based on feeling. And a lot of it has to do with depth. So, right here, in between the eye sockets, this side is pushed out more than this side. This side is deeper the closer you get to the tear duct area. And so that's why this side is highlighted the way that it is versus this one, because it's deeper here. From straight away, you can't really tell that, but if this miniature was in front of you, you'd have a better, you know, like perspective to actually view that. And then the same for the left and right hand side of the nose. So now that I've re-highlighted the section here on the left, you can probably tell that that area barely exists on the right hand side. Sorry, well, our right, this thing's left part of its face. So that's also intriguing. The mouth, it's like the face is like grinding its teeth to the right hand side of the screen because they're not even. And so like me highlighting the teeth, that was actually done by looking at the light source from above. So you can see that like this part of the lip is like pulled back further than that one. So while it looks very symmetrical, right? Like if we're just looking at it from this far away, you're like, yeah, it's all the same, it's all good, whatever. But it's not. Like there really are noticeable inconsistencies in terms of the variance of the object, right? And that's true for up here, you know, everything. This is all done by hand, so it's very very refreshing. You know, takes a lot more skill than Or rather, I won't say it takes more skill. What I'll say is it's more difficult than just hitting that mirror function on ZBrush, right? And having perfect sculpting on the left and right hand side. Alright, so I still feel like I need to do, yeah. We'll do it. I don't know how long I'm going to keep going today, though, so let's see, where are we at? An hour and 16. Or what time is it, actually? 2? Okay. Because I'm going to, you know, I'll just keep streaming here, I'll take a break, and then get back at painting Miniature Monday Minis. I should have asked John when he was here when the paint kit is going on sale. That's everybody's question of the week, is they're like, when can we buy the new set? For January through July? No, wait. Sorry, June. This angle's so difficult. Okay, I think that'll work out decently. I feel like this all needs to be brighter. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to work my way in from the outside back to the underneath of the nose there. Because I remember I highlighted that, but I was like, that's too bright. Did I do it again? Wait a minute. That would be hilarious if I did it again. Let me see. Let me zoom out. Okay, no, it's fine this time. Because we glazed over it because I was like, too far, too fast, man. Okay. The further I am away from sort of the center mass of the face, I'm gonna wipe that off. Further I am away, the lighter this highlight's gonna be. And it's also not gonna be like a direct connected line. Meaning I'm not gonna be doing the whole edge. I just wanna do sort of these points. Yeah, that looks good. That way it kind of reflects like a jewel. Like a jewel pod? What's up, my fellow kids? Just kidding. Alright, that helped. Rotating this way, have more room for my hand to move. So, okay. Alright. I feel like I need a little bit more consistency in the paint here in order to get the, like, crisper edge I need right about here. So I'm trying to do the interior edge, or the top edge, of this sort of cluster of shapes, so definitely not super easy. Why did I just do that twice? Josh, come on, dude. Paint, so I literally moved the brush in the opposite, like, order. Because I needed the paint to end at the other end and not down here. That's just so stupid. Alright, how can I do it? So I have to do it in 2 parts, not 1. Like this. And then again like this. A lot of times, like, when people are thinking things are more difficult than they need to be, it's because they're not considering the actual, like, operational portion of painting. Where you're like, where should my brush be starting? Right? And where's it going to end? Now, normally, the only time you think about that stuff is if you're doing, like, layered highlights or glazing. Because you're like, you know, where do I want it to taper? But pretty much every step usually will involve that thought process somewhere. Okay. I kind of wish the shape underneath the nose went deeper, like it was a ring. But it does not. You know what we need to do, though? This upper lip really needs to come back to life. We've glazed over it too much. So I'm going to start resectioning out the upper lip here. Or whatever it is, right? I mean, the lip is sectioned into like 5 parts, so... We know what it's supposed to be. I think. I could be wrong. Because yeah, this right here, like this section literally is like the same depth as the section above it, but then it gets deeper the further it gets away from this point. So it should be highlighted more right underneath. So I'll be doing the nice rounded eye highlight style, where you highlight things as if it was a capital I, and you round it in the center portion, and you extend it from there until you get like that nice sort of metallic sheen. As you can see it happening there. And this side, you can see, right, I had it sectioned out initially because of the nose, because the nose is casting a vertical shadow from above. And it just disappeared, right? We've been working on this a lot. It's hard to keep the same level of contrast all the way. I'm excited this weekend too. We've got our first class on Patreon of our new set of miniatures. I forget what it is this weekend, or what the topic is. I can look for you. Let me see. So, if we pop onto Poopery on here, Cobra Mode YouTube channel. Oh, that's cool. All right. Class schedule and old classes. So I actually updated the Patreon as well. So if, the second you join, no matter what tier other than the $3 coffee tier, so $5 and up, you immediately have access to 36 painting classes, and it also tells you the miniatures that you need to follow along with them. Everything from painting the 2020 themed dumpster, realistic wood, alien skin, OSL, intimidating colors, atmospheric lighting, glazing a whole miniature, shaded metallics, saturation for emphasis, implied fur, simple skin tones, realistic cloth, freehand tattoos, multi-hue OSL. There's actually 2 of those. Non-metallic metal classes for weapons specifically, wash master classes, white and light colors. There's also a brush control class and a basic skill assessment class that's good for you. So there's like 75 hours of painting stuff you get the second you sign up. But this weekend, we're painting modern cloth, and we're doing the post-apocalyptic hunter miniature, so that'll be cool. And then on the 26th, we're going to be working on an Eldritch palette by painting Kaiser Stedwick, which is exciting. January's classes are worn leather and fur, painting up the huge Bones Black Winter Wolf. So we've got all kinds of good stuff coming up on the Patreon this month and next month. Oh, I didn't even look and see if I'm painting it on my birthday. Wait a minute. Okay, January 9th. All right. Oh, is my birthday's on a Monday or a Tuesday? That's fine. Whatever. Who cares, right? It's not like I'm having a party. Look what it. That's so sad though, because Collins was at my birthday party last year with Danny, and then Sarah and John, Reaper John, were at my birthday last year. How things change, right? And we had good food. We had a Mexican place. Mama Rojas, I believe is what it's called. And it was so good, man. It was crazy good. I forget what I had. I think I just had like straight up enchilada. And then Sydney had El Pastor tacos that were super awesome. So I need to branch out this highlight here on the top edges of the eye shape. And by what I'm saying about that, I'll show you guys on something else real quick. Let me show you. This is like such an easy trick for people to remember. What do we got? Let's grab a weird space Death Guard guy. So I just want him for his base here. For non-metallic metal in certain surfaces, it's very easy. So you have your top edge, you have your bottom edge, and you want a nice reflection in the middle. So it's either an H or an I, but I always look at these highlights kind of like letters, so we'll just say it's an H, I guess. And then what you do is the closer to the top it is, the further out it's branched, and the closer to the middle it is, the thinner it is, right? And that's how you create that highlight structure. But the easiest way for you to do it if you're working on something that's pretty intricate is just go through, right, for your first stages and just outline certain sections, and then the point where your highlight's the brightest is where you just bridge it with a straight line, and then that's how you know, right, like where you're going to be building up your highlight. So hopefully that's a little tip for you. That can help you in your painting. If not, I tried to help you, you know. And I'm going to mirror this same highlight we just applied on the other side of the mouth, so it'll just be dark right in the center underneath the nose. What's up, Jack? How are you doing? Hit me with the tentacle. I'm doing the same thing with the bottom section of the lip here, just so that it matches the top. Hopefully I didn't. Okay. Good. All right, that makes sense. I was like, hopefully I didn't just highlight it like in the completely wrong area. My only gripe is that there is a divot right here, so while I have put enough paint here, I actually have to expand it out a little bit further because there's like a shadow being cast just by the natural dent in that section of the top lip, which I could shade as if it was like intentional, right? But I don't want that. I want everything to match. It makes sense. So I'm not really trying to fight that. I don't really want to go brighter on the teeth. If I do, it'll be like bright white that I highlight probably with phthalo blue. I do need to add texture to the bottom lip there, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm assuming, because this is a hand sculpted sculpture, so I'm assuming it's just, you know, it like, I don't think he intentionally put it there because it's not on this side, so it's an unintended dent that just exists as a part of the sculpt, if that makes sense. But let's add some texture, kind of matching the nose and the upper lip there. So little lines, little things. I don't want to do a lot though, just enough to kind of visually pull you. What's up, Cran? It's resin. You can tell by the wonderful bubbles. It's metal. My wet palette's turning into a dry palette. Like I said, I need to use the humidifier. If I wasn't painting so thin, it wouldn't be an issue, but you know how it goes. Nah, this ain't 3D printed. No, this is hand sculpted. It's real art. Real art in a sense that this is like not meant to be, you know, he sells them as like just completed pieces. They're not really meant to be painted. This stuff, at least. The busts that he makes, those are meant to be painted. Because yeah, he'll sell them in like different finishes. I bought this in just the raw resin.